Hello and welcome. Do believe everything is working all right. Looks okay from my end. Let's have a quick look. Check in the chat that everything's going all right. Okay, great. If you can see me okay, and if you can hear me okay as usual, please leave me a little note in the chat just to let me know that everything's all right at your end. Things look okay here. Yeah, messages coming through. Martin, great, thank you. It's looking good. Sharon says it's looking good. Yeah, it looks all right. All up and running. Everything looks very nice here. Okay, so welcome to the first live Threads. I guess you'd call it an online marketing webinar, but we're going to be doing the first Wednesday of every month. I'm going to be doing you a live webinar just for Threads members on an aspect of marketing yourself and managing your presence online, the bit that really matters. And today's is all about setting up your first WordPress site, right from the basics of getting a hosting account, choosing a domain name and registering it, which you can do all in one go, and then getting the basic stuff set up so you've got a good looking site and you can just start to do the bit that really matters, which is getting started with publishing the content. Now, as usual, as we go along, I'll keep one eye on the chat. Let me know if you've got any questions. I'll pause after each stage of the stuff that I'm going to be showing you today, because some of it will be new to you. If you haven't run a WordPress site before, all of it will be new to you. So I will be pausing every now and again just to check the chat and ask questions, ask if you've got any questions. Anything that pops into your head as we go along, just pop it in the chat, and we should be okay. I'll just check that everything's all right. Oh, Renee, I'm sorry you got kicked off. Good to hear you're back again. Yeah, it looks like we've got a nice stream for everyone today. So what I'm mostly going to be doing today is a lot of screen share, and describing what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Now, for me, I'm already registered with a host, so I can't do the actual registering bit, but I can show you how to do it, where to go to and what will happen when you do. And then we're going to go straight into logging in and starting doing some settings. We're going to steam straight in. Okay, so let me just get onto the right page here. Okay, we'll have a slight glitch for a second while I switch to my screen share. Okay, hopefully that's all. No, that wasn't the one we wanted. That was the one we wanted. Okay, so you should be able to see now a new blog, which I've just set up for us to go through and for me to demo stuff with you. This site is live, so you can go and visit it at any point if you want to have a look and see what's on there and how it's doing. Threadsdemonstration.com. And I've set this site up on SiteGround. Now, before we go any further, a quick word about hosts. There's been quite a lot of chat about this on the Facebook group. I recommend SiteGround primarily because their support is second to none, but they're not the cheapest web host out there. There are other hosts that you can go to. If you push me and ask me for another recommendation, then the one I would probably say is Bluehost. I'll just a second, and I'll put I'll show you a little bit of their site as well, but just immediately now I'll put a link in the chat to the Bluehost WordPress sign up page in case you want to go with they're cheaper than SiteGround. Okay, I think with hosting you get what you pay for, but I've never used Bluehost, but they have a really good reputation in the blogging industry. They're one of the biggest, the top 5 hosts in the world, I think. I recommend SiteGround because I know it, and as I say, because the support is so good. But we'll get to that in a minute. So when you first sign up, what you'll see is slightly different to what I'll see. So say you were, this is SiteGround where I'm signed up. So this is kind of my account, and it shows my domains and what I've got running. This is threadsdemonstration.com, which I've just set up today, so we can play about with it. And now if I was in here, say you sign up with SiteGround, I would advise you to go for the basic WordPress hosting package to start with. They do a deal where you get your first year for about half the price. But after your first year, it does go up, so you need to be aware of that. Hopefully by the time you've got through your first year, you'll be starting to build your email list and get some traffic, and you'll be on the road to getting some revenue at some point. It's still not hugely expensive, I don't think. I think it ends up being about $8 or $9 a month or something like that, the basic one for your second year. And it's much cheaper than that for the first one. But if I wanted to install something on here, I would go in here. So this is like if you go into the main area of the SiteGround kind of your account area. If you go into your account, there's a bit here called WordPress and Joomla Toolkit. If you sign up fresh, it will look a little bit different to this. It would be much simpler and just take you right through. But if I was in SiteGround and I wanted to install it, WordPress, I mean, you don't have to know any code. It's even like this. It's really simple. You just click on the WordPress installer there, and it takes you straight into this. And you say, I want to install WordPress now. And then you choose this. You want HTTP. HTTPS is if you've got you know, if you've got what do they call it again? My mind's just gone blank. If you've got an SSL certificate. Now I do have that on Creative Triggers, my old Creative Triggers site. I don't have it on my current sites, but I'm going to change and put SSL on. But it doesn't matter for the moment. I wouldn't worry about that. It's not really going to affect anything right now. And then here I can change any of the different domains that I've got at the moment registered with SiteGround. None of these settings really matter. You can put the site name here if you want and the site description, and that will just go in, or you can do that afterwards. This bit is the bit that really matters. And no matter which way how you set up your first hosting account, when you go to install WordPress, they'll ask you for the admin username and the admin password, okay? Now this is for your WordPress site. Make a note of this, copy and paste it into a separate Word document or something like that. But whatever you do, make a note of it and definitely copy and paste it. You can change it to be anything you want, but I would be careful with the password. Make sure it's a strong one, because WordPress sites do get hacked, okay? And that's really all you would need to set up. Easy setup is fine if you're in SiteGround, and then you would just go install and it would install it, and off you go. Now if you were, sorry, let me just have a quick chat of the chat. It's not working on your iPad. Suzanne, do you mean that the webinar isn't working on your iPad? If you could clarify that for me, it would be great. Adrian says, I found the support at SiteGround very good too. Yeah, they're amazing, really. Oh, okay, that's good, Suzanne. Glad. Sorry, just adding a couple of notes for people who are still having a couple of problems. And Judy says, if I remember rightly, they set up WordPress for you on SiteGround. Yeah, they can do. Sometimes they will do that for you. They'll just set it up for you. But if you go straight, if you just get a hosting account, and then ask them to set up WordPress. They'll do it, or you can do it yourself. Or if you're starting out fresh with them with a new domain, you can register the domain and get it all set up at the same time if you just click on their basic WordPress package. They'll just do it. It's just like, you know, using any web page. It's really easy. Where do you get the admin username? You just choose it. It's whatever you want. Usually they'll autofill that field, but you can just choose whatever you want for that. Yeah, it's entirely up to you, whatever you want. It's just like choosing a username and password for anything. Okay, we're doing all right? Okay, I'm going to go back now to the thing I'm going to show you now is if you'd gone to, now this is Bluehost sign up. Let me go back to the page just before this so I can show you which one I would. If you go to their WordPress hosting, if you go to bluehost.com, let me stick this link in the chat actually for you, just really quickly. Okay. So if you go, the one I would go for is this. Obviously, they're going to recommend you the most expensive one. They're doing the same kind of deal as SiteGround. So your first year is going to be cheaper and then it goes up. So this one will go up to $15 a month after a while. This one is only going to go up to $8. You'll be fine with the basic one to start with. It's mostly about how much traffic you're going to get. For your first year, you're probably not going to be testing the bounds of how much traffic you can get or how much storage you're going to use. So you'd be all right with that. So you would select that. And then it immediately gives you a choice. Now you go through this same process if you sign up at SiteGround. They both do it the same if you select their WordPress hosting. You can either start a new domain there, so you could use your name, anything you like. It really don't get too wound up about what your domain name is going to be, okay? I think it's really good to go with your name. Now, obviously, my site is learningtosee.co.uk, but I've also got paulfoxton.co.uk, and this year I'm going to move everything over to that domain. Obviously, that's a not insignificant job, which is why I haven't got around to it yet, because I've got a site that's been running for 10 years. But you can choose anything you want here. If you're in the US, I would definitely choose a .com. .co.uk, or, you know, from whatever extension for part of the world you're in is fine. If you already have a domain name and you're already with another host, you can enter it here. And then you would just choose, you know, you choose your domain name and it would just take you through the process. It would say, click to install, and it all happens really automatically. And you get, it just installs WordPress for you, like a vanilla version of WordPress for you. Now this one, if you already have a domain name and if you already have some hosting, I should probably talk about that a little bit. Yeah, just a little pop-up to say you can choose it later. Beautiful people, no doubt successful bloggers wanting you to sign up for Bluehost, of course. Anyway, I digress. If you already have your site with someone else, if you have a site already, and you're happy with them, you're happy with the hosting and you're happy with the site, what you can probably do is have WordPress installed on the hosting that you already have, and it would be your site. Say your domain is like myartdomain/blog. It would end up on a URL like that. That's going to be your best option. If you're already with a host that you're happy with, that they're doing a good job, then you can do it that way around. If you've got a site with Weebly or Wix or Squarespace, or if you've got a Faso site, I'm not a fan of Faso at all, but if you've got a Faso site, you're stuck with the software that they can give you. In that case, it's up to you, but I would think seriously about moving to your own hosting account like this. You know, get a host, either Bluehost if you want a slightly cheaper one, or SiteGround if you want, you know, a kind of the more premium option, if you like, with the best customer service. And get yourself a WordPress site set up like this. I guarantee you everything that you've got on a Faso site, a Weebly site, or a Wix site, or any of those, you will be able to do and more with WordPress, which is why I recommend WordPress. It's just so easy to use. If you're starting out fresh with a new site and you're just going to set up a new blog, it's simple, just get it done. Let me just have a quick check. If you've got any questions about that, if you already have an existing site, pop it into the chat now, because the chances are that other people will have the same questions. Do you want .com or .co.uk? If you're in the UK, to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter. You know, I've gone for the .co.uk because someone has registered paulfoxton.com and they want $2,000 for me to buy it, and I'm not going to pay them that money for a domain name that's not going to make really any difference. I would like to have both, you know, so that I could redirect the .com to the .co.uk, but it doesn't really matter too much, you know. It's not a big deal. If you're in the UK, then a .co.uk is fine. If you're in the US, or in fact anywhere in the world, then a .com is fine. What you find quite often is for most domains, the .com will already have gone. But if it's your own name, then I would just go with your own name, because don't forget, what I'm going to be encouraging you to do with your sites is to share as much of yourself as possible. So in effect, you kind of become your own brand, really. And having a site under your own name is quite good. If you're unfortunate enough to have the same name as a very famous person, which can happen, then they will already have the domain name. Then you might want to call your site something else, or you could just tag art or artist or something like that onto the end of your name. But none of that stuff really matters too much, you know. Yeah, your choice. Tracy says, I have a domain already, but SiteGround was able to set you up with a temporary site for development. Yeah, they can do that. And then what you can do is go back to once your site is ready, then you can go back to the hosting that where you have your other domain name and just point it to your new site. It's not terribly difficult to do. And if enough people have a problem with that, I'll do a segment on that, if you like, on how to point a domain name to a different host. Or even easier, you can just transfer the domain name over to the new host, is another way of doing it. Yeah, you can do that. Renee says, I started a new site at SiteGround with a new domain name, moving from Faso. Yay. I mean, if you have a Faso site and you're not completely wedded to the domain name and you don't particularly mind changing it, and you don't have any traffic, if you don't have any visitors, then you've nothing to lose, you know. Just set up a new site and start from scratch with that, you know, it's fine. Using your business name, yeah, that's fine to do that. It's fine to do that. Tammy says, I was with WordPress for years, then decided to try Faso. I agree that Faso is limited, now back to WordPress. Right, I'm not terribly surprised. And I'm sure you're not surprised that I agree with you. Marilyn says, SiteGround suggested the Grow Big option, as I shall change, as they do a 3-year very good deal, and migration from my previous host is free within that. Yeah, I mean, that's a good example of, if you pay more, they'll go the extra mile. I mean, to have them transfer, if you can afford it and you don't mind paying for it, to have them transfer the site over for you is like, oh, it makes life so easy. Otherwise, you're going to have to copy and paste all the content. You're going to have to set up the site all over again and do it yourself. You absolutely can do it yourself. You don't need to pay. And I would recommend going for the smallest one. For most people, I would recommend going for the smallest deal, the basic one to start with, and then trading up from there if you need to. You just get in touch with them and say, look, I'm coming up to the limits of the traffic that I'm allowed with this, the deal I've got now, the tier I'm on at the moment, which is a very nice problem to have. You know, can you upgrade me? And it would be seamless, and they will upgrade you. Know anything about GoDaddy? I've been very impressed. Again, I've got to be a little bit careful what I say. GoDaddy have been around for a very long time, and I've been on the internet doing web stuff longer than I've been a painter, and I have very bad memories of the early days of GoDaddy. It was not a very good service. It might be much better now. They might have pulled their socks up and sorted themselves out. I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't touch them with a barge pole, but that's because of not even a bad experience I had myself. It's because of bad experiences I've heard other people have with them. People have said, you know, they would never go near them again. People whose opinion I trusted when I used to do mostly just internet marketing stuff and I wasn't online as an artist then. Yeah, maybe they're fine now. Try them and see. If you're already with them, set up a WordPress site with them. It will probably be fine. If you have problems, then here's 2 hosts. You can just transfer your site. Transfer it to SiteGround or transfer it to Bluehost. Used to be as well that a lot of sites made it very difficult for you to transfer because they didn't want to lose your custom. I don't know how GoDaddy would be about that now, but you'll probably be all right with them. You know, try it and see. Stick with them and see if you're already with them. I couldn't transfer your old site info, Tracy said. SiteGround couldn't transfer my old site info. It's probably down to what tier you join on, I would think. I'm not sure. But it's generally not too much work to do it. I mean, for me, when I transfer my blog from the host my blog is on now to SiteGround, where I'm setting up paulfoxton.co.uk, I've got 500 posts to copy over and thousands of images, embedded videos and all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's lots of stuff can go wrong with that. And also I'm an established site with traffic and I don't want to lose any of the visitors, so it's going to be a big operation. If you're near the beginnings, then it's not such a big deal, you know, shouldn't be too bad. Artspan. Oh, never heard of Artspan, Tracy. Okay. What if you need to cancel? I would check the T's and C's. I mean, I'm recommending them, SiteGround and Bluehost. Bluehost on their reputation and SiteGround because I use them, but obviously it's up to you to check that you're happy with their terms and conditions and all that kind of stuff. I want to hold your hand as much as I can, but you will need to, at the end of the day, to take responsibility for what you sign up yourself and for your own site. You know, I will help you where I can, but obviously I can't give really in-depth technical help to everyone who joins Threads all of the time. Otherwise, that's what I would be doing all of the time. I will help you as much as I can with anything. The cancellation thing with SiteGround, I'm not sure. I imagine you can cancel at any point, but you pay yearly with SiteGround. So you sign up, they'll tell you how much it is a month. All the hosts I know of do this. It's a bit of sleight of hand and I don't like it, but they all do it. They say, this is how much it will cost you a month. And then you have to pay for the first year as soon as you sign up, all in one go. You know, it's just the way they do things. So it might be that, I don't know, check and find out. Email support and say, what happens if I want to cancel after the first month, and see what they say. And if you're happy with what they say, then go ahead, you know. Have you been planting trees? That was a little bit off topic. Actually, no. No, but maybe I should. The tree, what are you looking at? What do you mean the trees? Oh, these trees here. These trees. Right, yeah. Have I been painting, did you say? Painting trees. Yeah, I have been painting trees. This is actually from last year, and I'm thinking about going out there again soon. Yeah. One of my goals for this year is to do more plein air. But I'll try not to get. Yeah, I'd VAT as well. Yeah, I'll try not to get off topic. Okay, let's go back to. So let's say you're signed up, right? Okay, so you've done that bit. That bit is actually really quite simple. If you've chosen your domain name and you've chosen your host, they make the sign up thing really nice and easy. And where you will end up once you've done that is on the login screen of your site. So this is threadsdemonstration.com. Okay, this is the new site that I've set up for us to try out stuff and to demo on. So you put in your username and password that you hopefully remembered to make a note of while you were signing up, and then log in. And this is what you'll see, something like this. Now this is the most basic installation. This is the dashboard, the most basic installation of a WordPress site. If you want to see what it looks like, let me just close that. That is actually it. But if you want to see what it looks like, I'll close this Bluehost thing down as well now. You can go up here, and if you right click on that, it'll open in a new window, visit site, and that will show you it. Now this is the basic theme that comes with WordPress. I've done absolutely nothing with this at all. And there's some filler content here. Usually there wouldn't even be a post, but this is filler content which SiteGround puts in at the start, which gives you some useful kind of links for stuff that you can go and check out if you like. Okay, and you can always get back to the dashboard if you want to up here. Now, to me, even for a really basic, like vanilla install of WordPress, this looks pretty good. I mean, if you look at my site, I think this actually looks better than mine, and I've seriously got to update my site. I don't think I've updated the look of my site for about 3 or 4 years, you know. Even the basic kind of thing looks pretty good, you know, it looks pretty nice. So this is your dashboard here. Now, let me have a quick look. What was I going to... Yeah, let's have a look at some. I want to take you through these initial settings first, okay? So one of the first things that I think you want to do, you may already have done it in the at the sign up point, but if you haven't, you go down. I'm going to take you through some of the basic things in the menu here to do. You go into settings, general. This is the first thing you want to look at, okay? Now this is just because it's a brand new installation of WordPress. The site title is just my blog, and you'll see that that comes up here. See that? My blog, my WordPress blog. Now, users don't usually see this, but Google does. So it's a good idea to make this something nice. And now your tagline here, this will show up as well. And I think it's worth putting something nice here because this may actually show on your site. So if you have a look at my site, the tagline I have shows here, and it's inspiration and practical advice for aspiring realist artists, which is pretty much what I try to do with my site. So it might just be my learning journey with, for the sake of this one, I'll say it's WordPress because that's what we're figuring out with this one. Okay, so it's worth doing those things. Don't worry about this. This should all be fine. You won't need to change any of these things really, and then just save it. You can set your time zone and your format if you need to. It doesn't make a huge difference. And if I refresh this now, it will show the new title, my new painting blog, and it's down here as well, my learning journey with WordPress. So that's immediately come up as part of the site. Okay, so that's a really good thing to set up. What else did I want to show you quickly? Oh, comment moderation. This is always worth checking. Now, comment moderation. The thing is, once you've got a WordPress site, if you leave it wide open, there's a really good chance that you'll be spammed. So if you go down into settings and then discussion, it is usually for a new WordPress installation, it's usually already set up right, but just make sure that you have these two ticked. A comment must be manually approved, and the comment author must have a previously approved comment. I have my blog set up like this and I get no spam. What this basically means is that if someone comes to your site and they comment for the first time, the comment won't show unless you approve it. You'll get an email and you'll need to approve it. If they've left a comment that you've approved before, then it will show automatically. You will still get an email if you tick these two, if they're not already ticked as well, just so that you know when you've got a new comment, so that you can go and check first that it's legit, and secondly also check that you might want to reply. It's definitely something that you're going to want to be doing to keep up with people. Now the permalinks. This bit here, you see this bit, permalinks. Now this bit I would also set up, and you will need to set this up. Now what this affects is what shows here in your URL. So if you just leave it as the standard, it will be really rubbish. It will give you the name and the month and the time of day that you put the post up, and that's not very useful. What you want really in your URL is you want the post name. So what I would do, you can click on any of these and it will change what you've got up here. If you just take everything out and then just click post name, because you want a really nice, clear, human readable URL, and then save that. Okay, so what that means for our one here, this post here is called WordPress resources at SiteGround. Let me just refresh that. Oh, it's showing I don't want the date up there. Perhaps I missed something. No, I suspect it's just because I've already been messing about with this earlier to make sure it worked, and my browser is remembering what it used to be. Let's go back home and try and click on it again. Here we go. Now it's caught it now. So in the URL we just have this, which is very nice if someone links to it, because it means you also have keywords in there. Well, I'll be going into SEO at a later date though, and this is the actual post. Okay. So that's worth setting up. There was one more thing, cleaning up the sidebar. We want to do this, okay? So if we have a look at our site at the moment, we've got a load of junk down here. Actually, before I go any further, just tell me, let me know quickly in the chat, and I'll check to see if there are any. Let me know if you've got any questions about any of that. Let's have a quick look and see how we're doing. YouTube is your friend. Yeah, I'll tell you, here's a really good site actually. Let me give you this. If there's anything that you want to figure out about a WordPress site, this site, as like as not, will have. I'm going to put the URL in the chat for you. This site will probably have an article about it. That's a really good site for tutorials. And I'm just quickly scrolling through and having a look and see. Curious why you would transfer your site to your name instead of just pointing your Paul Foxton URL to learning and then redesign that site. Yeah, Gene, what I could do, well, I want to be on the new host. You know, I want to move from my old host. Because when I signed up with them, they were great. They're called TSO, but they've outsourced all of their customer support abroad, and it's not as good as it used to be. So I'm leaving them now, and I've also had a couple of technical problems with my site, which they've denied is anything to do with the hosting, and I'm pretty sure it is. So that's why I'm moving to SiteGround. Now I wanted to move to my name anyway, to be paulfoxton.co.uk, because I've had Learning to See for. I mean, when I set that site up, that's what I was doing. That's why I called it the site Learning to See, you know, because it was about me learning to draw and paint. Now, I want it to be much more kind of centered on who I am. So I'm changing. So I registered that domain with SiteGround, and I'm going to move all of the content from my old site over to my new site. Can you give me just 2 seconds? Studio Cat is asking to be out. All right, little fella. Go on then. You can count. I think it will take him about 2 minutes before he scratches to be back in again. So that's why I'm doing it that way around. What theme? This theme at the moment, Suzanne, is just the basic WordPress theme. I'm going to go through choosing a new theme in a minute. Can you have many sites within your domain? Yes, you can. Well, a domain is basically usually a single site. What you can do if you want to have extra sites is have other sites as subdomains. So it would be mysite.mydomain.com. Like if you look at my courses, they're on courses.learningtosee.co.uk. Or you can just register more domain names and have lots of different domains within the same hosting account. You can do it that way. For the purposes of what we're doing here, I would focus on just one site though. Okay, I think I'm pretty much caught up with that. So the next thing I was going to show you is we want to clean up all of this junk out of the sidebar, okay? Because no one else needs to be logging into your site, so you don't need any of this stuff. This is all legacy stuff that you just don't need. Categories, no, we don't want that. Keep it as clean as you possibly can. On my site, I have the content, and then usually I will have, let's say if we go to the home page, you know, you've got the content and then very little in the sidebar. I don't want to distract you from the bit, the important bit. There's a little bit about me. There's my logo because I put that everywhere because I think it looks really nice because Michelle designed it for me. And then there's this bit where I'm building my email list. All of the rest of the stuff is junk, and you don't want that in your sidebar, okay? All of this, we want to remove it. Now, the way you do that is you go into Appearance, Widgets. And you see all of this stuff here. See this blog sidebar? That on the site is this. That's the sidebar. this vertical column. Not all themes have a sidebar, but this basic one does have one, and I'm going to show you how to edit this because a lot of themes do, and it's a pretty useful thing to have a sidebar because that, you know, you can put your email list sign up thing there. So basically we don't want a site search. Nobody really uses them. I mean, this is up to you, you know, so I'm just going to drag that down to inactive widgets. So now if I refresh the page, the site search will have gone. Bang, that's how easy it is to edit a WordPress site. Okay, recent posts, no. Let's get that out of the way. Remember, you want your site, you just want it to be as clean as possible, okay? Recent comments, no, we don't want that. The comments are on the blog specifically. We don't want to be distracting people from the actual content that we've just written. Archives, no. If people want to see our old posts, they will probably find them through a Google search or something like that. Categories, don't worry about categories. Personally, I don't use them. You might want to categorize posts for yourself, and this meta thing here, look, if I show you now, we've taken all of that stuff out of the sidebar, and all we're left with is this, that's this stuff, the site admin and the login. You definitely don't want that showing, so we'll just pull that out of the way, stick it in inactive widgets. You don't even have to save it. And now we've got a clean sidebar. It's thrown the theme right out. Let's put one thing back in just so I don't throw the design out too much. What's the least useless thing? I'll put the search back in. It's thrown the design out of whack. What I'll be doing later is showing you how to add some actual useful stuff in here. This is where we'll be putting our MailChimp sign-up form, and I'll be going into that in a lot more detail next month. The webinar is going to be all about getting MailChimp set up and hooked up to this blog. What I'm trying to get you to a point where you have a working blog with an email list attached as soon as possible, and then we can start with the content generation, which is the bit that really matters, you know. So we've got a basic. Hopefully that was fairly clear. Now, if anyone has any questions at this point, pop them in the chat. Let's have a quick check to see if anything. Your site seems to be on HTTPS. I don't remember configuring the S, but we can change it on the interface. If it's on HTTPS, leave it on HTTPS. It is much better to be on a secure site these days. HTTPS was originally invented because it encrypts the data which is sent to and from your site across the internet, okay? So you needed it in order to be able to send credit card details. So if you go to sign up for Threads, for example, if you have a look at Threads, that's HTTPS. It has to be encrypted, you know. The main reason it's worth doing now is because in Google Chrome, it shows you'll see if a site is just HTTP, it will say not secure in the browser bar, in the address bar. And I just have a feeling, I really wish Google hadn't done that, because I have a feeling that that's going to worry some people. And they think this site isn't secure, maybe I should leave. So I think they're basically just trying to force the web to go onto HTTPS. They consider themselves the policemen of the web. So I will be changing to HTTPS as well. But you have to get, I wouldn't worry about that too much right now. There's much bigger fish for you to fry. But you have to get an SSL certificate to do that, and it costs extra money basically. But if you're already on HTTPS, then just stay with it. It's great. That's what you want to be. Susie, look at you're installing now. Brilliant. Yeah, Google likes HTTPS. Doesn't make any difference for your ranking, though. That's a myth. All right. You can rank an HTTP site and get traffic from Google just the same as HTTPS. Okay. I've already selected a different theme. How do I delete or disable it? Tracy, I'm glad you asked, because I'm about to go on to that bit. Okay. So, changing the theme. Is everything all right so far? Does everything kind of make sense? Don't remember that this is going to be recorded, and the recording is going to appear in your threads, you know, as a like a thing in the course area of your Threads homepage. I'll be sending out a link to it when it's done. Hopefully I'll get that uploaded for you tomorrow. So don't worry if you feel that any of this is going too fast, or you want to just go through it a bit at a time slowly whilst you set up your site. fine, do that. You know, that's how I would imagine that you will use this. But I can introduce all of this to you now anyway. Okay, so let's pop back to our new blog. It's looking a bit cleaner now. We've got a title and we've taken all the junk out of the sidebar. Let's go back to the home page. Oh, are we on the home page? Yes, we're on the home page. Changing the theme. You're going to spend a lot of time playing around with this. I'd advise you that you don't, because the theme doesn't make that much difference to how well your site performs from a point of view of building an audience, because basic themes are so good now anyway. But why not have a bit of fun with it? You want to go into appearance and then themes. Okay. Now it will come with just a few. I've stuck a couple of extra ones in here. Okay. Now say I wanted to change this theme. I bunged this one in. Just because it had a picture of the Mona Lisa on it, okay? So first I'm going to show you how to activate and how to deactivate a theme, and then I'm going to show you how to find new free themes, okay? So let's say I want the site to change to look like this. It's as simple as doing that. As long as the thing is in there, and it will show it's the new one, you know, it's activated. And bang, we've got a new site, you know? It's a completely different setup. You know, so everything looks different now. But if I go into the blog post, actually with most themes, once you get into the blog post, it doesn't look all that different. You know, it uses more of the screen, and that's nice. You know, it's probably a fluid layout, which means that it will change as I scroll. And all of these are responsive as well, so they'll work on any device. You know. But I don't actually like that theme, so let's say no, I'm going to put this one on instead. I actually quite like this theme. Tienda Basic. So it's literally, if you've got the themes installed, it's literally a one click to change it to a different theme, you know. So let's go back to the home page and see how it looks. But if your site is a fairly basic, you know, if you're just having, and I recommend that you have a header, possibly a sidebar if you want one, in a content area. There's not that much really to choose between them, you know, but this looks pretty nice, you know, it's nice. It could do with an image up here, right, you would think. We'll get to that in a minute. So let's say I want to find a new theme. You can go into Add New, and WordPress will show you some example themes, and these are all free. These are the featured ones. There's that one that I just bunged in a minute ago. Here's the other one that I bunged in. This is the one we're running at the moment. And you can choose any of these. Let's go through, see which ones are the most popular at the moment. I'll download one and stick it in. Let's see, what should we go for? It doesn't really matter. We could pick any of these. I mean, there's so many themes out there. This one looks nice and clean. Let's install it. You see, just roll over it and it says install. Install a theme, it's installing it, okay? So now if I go back to my installed themes, click on themes again. Here it is, storefront. Let's activate it. Simple as that. Got a new theme. That's the home page. We go through to the blog post. Now, interestingly, this one has overridden all of the settings we made, and it's put all of this junk back in here in the sidebar. See that? Don't like that. Means you'd have to go back in and edit it again. Okay, let's say now I decided I don't like that theme. Let's go back to this one. I actually do like this theme. It's a nice theme. Yeah, the junk is all back in there now, so we'd have to go through and take it out again. I won't waste your time by showing you that again. So let's say we definitely don't want this one. Where's the delete? Theme details, delete. You don't want loads of themes cluttering up your thing, okay? What I do is I take out any theme that I'm not using. Now you can also pay for themes. I'm not going to get into that at the moment because you're already going to have some outlay with your hosting and stuff like that. So I think it's probably fine for you to go with the basic theme for now, you know. A free theme. One of these will be all right. Now, if you want to, you can go in here, click on Customize, and it'll open up a new window, and you can change some of the things. You know, you can change like what the site is called, how it's laid out. You can change the colors of the theme, all this kind of stuff, and it's a fairly simple thing to do. You know, just for sake of argument, let's say I wanted to have a different color in the background, say a really light orange. You know, that's going to look pretty horrendous probably. I wanted to have that, and then I would click publish. You can play with them quite a bit, you know, once you've actually got it in there, and that's pretty easy to do. So it's just changed this stuff around the back to be a lightish orange grey, you know. Kind of looks all right. It's not going to make too much difference to how quickly your email list grows though, so I wouldn't be worrying about stuff like that too much. But what we do want to do is, for this thing, we'd want to put a header image in, okay? And let me just have a quick check. Let me just check quickly. See, has anyone got any? So that's themes, right? Oh, one more thing I was going to show you. Let me show you this. Sorry, I forgot. There is actually, I'll just paste in the URL. I can find it. Maybe I closed it down. Oh no, here we go. You can go to this URL. I'll stick it in the chat. And there's more themes than, you know, you can shake a stick at there. You could spend untold hours in there messing about with your theme. What about the plugin? Oh, let me go. Oh, we got a few questions here. All right, let me go up a little bit, and I'll get to them one at a time. Okay. What about Jetpack? Suzanne says. Jetpack is huge and it slows your site down. You will probably only ever use about 5% of the functionality in it. Personally, I wouldn't bother with it. I don't like stuff that slows my site down. They tend to get slow after a while anyway, once you put a lot of plugins in, which you probably will be doing. Jetpack it has lots of good functionality. If you want to use it, fine. But bear in mind that once you've installed it, it will tend to, I think it slows your site. I haven't done an independent test to make sure if that's the case. And it's a very big, complicated thing, and you'll only need a little bit. My advice with a WordPress site is always to keep it as simple and clean as you possibly can. If there's some functionality you really, really need, wait until you're at the point where you're like, I've got to have this thing. I need to add this to my site, and then go and find something that will do it. Don't just go and look at loads of plugins and get something like, you know, that one, which will, it will install loads and loads of useful stuff, most of which you will never need, and it will slow your site down. You know, if you want to install it, Jetpack is fine. It's put out by the WordPress community and it won't break your site. My advice would be not to install anything unless you've got a really strong reason for wanting it on your site. The more complex your site becomes, the more likely it is that you're going to have a technical problem. That's what I think about Jetpack. Sorry. Adrian, your site is on HTTPS, but you didn't pay extra for it. Well, that's nice. They simply selected the option, never cost you anything. Well, that's really cool. Great. Maybe you found a little way around the system there. Well, that's really good news. Yeah, if you can get HTTPS, then do it. You know, it's better. I'm going to have to go through getting a certificate for mine. Do you want to look for a blog theme, or doesn't it matter? Tracy says. I don't think it matters a huge amount. You will want to personalize your site, and you want, when people come back, you want them to recognize instantly your site. Like, I've been using variations of green and a light cream on my site for about 10 years, and I was going to say I always will, but I think I'm about to change it to pink and brown. I don't know, it just seems good to me. Yeah, I mean, play with it. It doesn't matter too much. The theme is the format, Marilyn. Yes, it's basically just how the thing looks. Imagine it as you've got the content, which is the really useful stuff that you've got on your site, and then the theme is the wrapper. It's the presentation, the styling of the whole thing, you know. Everybody got HTTPS except me. I can't believe it. What do you mean by theme? Hopefully I've explained it. If I haven't, it is literally just, it changes the look of the thing, what fonts you use, what colors you've got, that kind of thing. Yeah, thanks Steve. Yeah, Steve, you've got some WordPress and tech background, haven't you? I think I remember talking about this. Yeah, it's the title picture and the style. That's exactly what it is. Jetpack. Hopefully I've answered that one. If I set up a blog and it had Jetpack ready installed in it, I'd take it out. But it's up to you. It's got some useful stuff, you know. Adrian, thanks. That's really useful. Yeah, the paid ones, generally speaking, they do look a bit better, but you can do fine with a free theme. You know, there's nothing bad about them. Personally, for myself, I use a theme called Genesis. It's a framework actually, and it makes some stuff, if you get into the tech end of running a site, it makes some stuff a lot easier, Genesis. And then you can get themes that are made to work with Genesis, and you have to pay for them. But they're only like $40 or something, you know, and then you've got them forever, so that's fine. But I wouldn't worry about that for now. Just get a free theme and you'll be all right. The one thing I would say about that is don't change your theme every couple of days, because when people start visiting your site, they'll get really confused. So settle on a theme and stick with it for a little while. Plugins, yeah, I'm going to cover plugins in a different, keep the plugins to a minimum. I'm going to cover those in another webinar, probably 3 down the line. The most useful plugins to put in and why you'll need them. But let's get a basic site together first and hook up the mailing list to it. That's the important stuff that you're going to need. I'm paring this down to just the stuff you absolutely need in order to start building an audience, you know. If you want a gallery display, is it better to use a theme with one built in or a plugin? Seriously, either. You can use either. There's a really nice gallery plugin called, it starts with an E. I can't remember the name. I'll cover it when we go into plugins. Some themes do come with it, but basically they're all using the same functionality, just in a different way. It really doesn't matter. Don't look just for a theme. Don't say to yourself, my theme has to have a gallery, because you can add that into any theme really, really easily. You know, so don't worry about that. We'll use that. Should you use your own picture and artwork? You absolutely should. I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. You're wondering about security. Do you mean the security of your site? The main thing to do is to make sure that you use a strong password. The 2 main things to do are to use a strong password, which is difficult to remember, but also very difficult to guess. And I use something called LastPass, which I'll show you LastPass in a minute, which remembers all my passwords for me. Otherwise I could never remember them because they make no sense. They're like 12 characters long and they're, you know, gibberish. And always keep your plugins up to date. If your plugins go really, really out of date, that can open your site up to hacks. On the plus side, I've had a WordPress site for how long? 5 years, maybe, something like that. I've had 2, probably more than 2, and I've never been hacked. It does happen though, so make sure you have a strong password and keep your plugins up to date is the main thing you can do, if that concerns you. Do you need a plugin for MailChimp? I think MailChimp has a plugin. I can't remember, because I use ConvertKit now, and ConvertKit does have their own plugin. MailChimp might as well. We'll cover that next month when I get to that, the MailChimp side of things. You're now logged in. You thought Jetpack helped with security, maybe better with SSL. No, SSL isn't anything to do with your plugins or anything like that. SSL is on the host. It's on the big old computer that your website runs on. That runs the SSL. That isn't done on a plugin in your site. There might be some security stuff in there. Well, if it really concerns you, then put Jetpack in. As I say, it's not going to break your site. I just like to keep my sites as lean as possible so they don't go wrong much, you know. Yeah, Pejman, you said if you need to configure anything manually in the theme, not the interface. What do you mean by manually? Could you clarify that a bit? If you mean changing the CSS, The styling, yes, you can. I mean, if you have the technical knowledge to do it, then yeah, absolutely, you can do that. We are going to cover subscription. Marilyn, yeah, subscription as in building an email list next month. I'm going to go through MailChimp, setting up an account and hooking it into your site, and everything you need to know about sending broadcasts out. And we'll start looking at, we'll put a sign up form on the site, and we'll start looking about the kind of things that you might be able to give away. That's going to be quite a meaty one next month, but I want to make sure everybody's got a site first to start playing with. Will backing up help with security? Well, it's always good to do backups. I run Backup Buddy, which is a paid plugin on my site, and it is absolutely brilliant. It's not that expensive, but it just takes all of that worry away from you. I know my site is automatically backed up every day, the database, and then weekly the whole thing is backed up. So yeah, Backup Buddy is really good for that. Do you have to pay for plugins? Some are free, some you have to pay. A lot of them, they have a free version with extra features for the paid version, so it depends. They're usually not very expensive though. How do people find your website? That is a big question. I can't wait to get into that one. How you start to attract people to your site. But again, for now, I'm going to concentrate on making sure everybody has a site if they want to get one set up. And after all, there's not much point being in Threads if you're not going to. I want to make sure everyone has got a site and it's running. And you need to know first about generating content. And that kind of just bleeds naturally into attracting people into your site. So we're going to be covering that probably in about three months' time. We'll start going much more in depth about that. Ah, okay, yeah. Adrian's just saying about his got a free SSL certificate. Okay, well, if it works, it works, you know. Sounds all right to me. MailChimp does have a plugin. Okay, cool, yeah. Do you pay once off for plugins or is it monthly cost? That depends on the plugin. Some of them are just flat fee and some of them you pay monthly. Can you change the font easily? Yeah, really easily. Let me just show you that quickly then. If you wanted to know how to do that. It depends on the theme. But I'm back in this, let me go out of that so I'm back at the normal thing. Go back into here. There should be a thing in here about changing the font. Site width main. Where is it? You can definitely do it. It's a good while since I played with this stuff. Look, this has got a premium version that presumably the premium version will give you more stuff to play with, like maybe the fonts. It looks like you can't, on that theme, you can't change the fonts without getting a premium version within that bit. But what you could do if you wanted to, you could go into here. Don't do this unless you have some technical background. I understand. This is the code that controls the theme. Seriously, don't play with that unless you know what you're doing. I do, but I used to be a web developer, so it's not, that's the kind of level of knowledge that you would need, technical knowledge. I wouldn't play with that. Most of them allow you to do it somewhere, but also just choose a theme with something that you want. Something I was going to show you actually quickly on the subject of themes. This came up a second ago, a minute or two back in someone asked about how do I change. I'm going to go into customize again. Surely it should have an image, and yeah, it really should. Now header image here, and usually your theme will tell you the best size for your header image. Now I've already been playing with one, so in whatever graphics package you happen to use, if it's just a simple one, that's fine. Having something like Photoshop is really, really useful if you're going to be running blogs, because you're going to want to be making images all the time, and they recommend a header a size of 1800 by 800 pixels. Okay, click on add new image. Now that one's already in there, but just to show you how you do it, then you would click on that, upload files, and select files. And where did I put it? Now I have to actually remember where I put the thing. Put it in here. Demo image. Yeah, there we go. Of course, it's the threads thing, right? It just happened to be hanging around. So then it's uploaded, and then you just go select and crop. I've got to crop it because I didn't actually make it perfectly the right size. It was 2 pixels over or something like that. So that's done, and then click publish, and then it will appear. It should appear. Come on, published. It should be there now. Managed a reminder to take my meds. It means it's 7 o'clock. We've been going for an hour. Yeah, no, that should be it. Oh, I wonder if this is, that's odd. Go back to the home. Oh, here we go. It only shows this one. It only shows because of the way the theme is loaded up. It's almost like a page background. It only shows on the home page. A lot of themes are like this now. They have a huge image, which is nice if you want to have a big splash thing. Personally, I'd rather get the content to people straight away. But you can see this is, you know, that's pretty nice the way you can scroll up over the image. So that's how you would change the header image in your blog. And let me just have another quick check of the comments just to see. Tammy says, under user role, what's the difference between a customer and a subscriber? Well, subscribers, I wouldn't worry about any of that. You only need to worry about user roles if you allow other people access to your blog to change the content, which you're very unlikely to be doing if it's a team-run blog, or if you have a membership site. So you don't need to worry about that stuff at all. Just leave that set to subscriber because you don't want anyone to subscribe to your blog. That's a really good way for people to start spamming you, which you really don't want. Do you intend to cover how to take a good photographs of your paintings in future? Yes, I do. Absolutely. That's one of the most important things for us as artists because the work that we produce is one of the best ways that we can get out there and get people's interest, you know, and share some useful stuff. Yes, I will be going into that. I'm going to do at least one whole webinar just on photographing your paintings. Steve says, customer visits and leaves, subscribe, signs up with you. Yeah, basically. You don't need to worry about that for now. What do you do if you set up a site? What do you do if you set up a site and someone visits it? Well, you want them to, you know. You want to get some content in there as soon as you possibly can. Yeah, for sure. Be thankful, Steve says. I'm trying to get behind your question to figure out what it is you're asking. I think what you're asking me is, what if you've got a site set up and you're still tweaking it and messing about and someone visits, you know? There's not much you can do about it, really. I mean, technically speaking, you could probably find a way to block people from visiting your site at all, but I wouldn't advise doing it. And the chances of that happening, frankly, are really, really low, unless you actually tell someone that your site is there, you know. And if you're developing a new site and you're going to point your domain name to it, an existing domain name, don't point the domain name to it until the site is ready to go, you know. Judy says, my new hobby is seeing who subscribed on MailChimp and who hasn't. Right, so you know if you told your friends about your site and they didn't subscribe. I know exactly what you mean, Judy. Can you see who's visited? No, not unless they sign up for your mailing list. If they sign up for your mailing list, you can see who they are. But user data in terms of email addresses and names and stuff like that is invisible to you. No, you can't see exactly who has visited your site. You can get overall reports of your site usage. That as well, before anybody else, I am going to cover that. Google Analytics in a future webinar. Maybe we're going to have to do more than one a month, but we'll get through all of this. The thing is, I want to give you all time to get this stuff set up and running and get comfortable with it before I start chucking some more at you. You know, we're going to motor along anyway. I mean, the goal that I have, the rough goal at the moment, is to have everybody with a site set up in 6 months and starting to produce good content and generate visitors. That's my goal for this stuff for you, that within 6 months of joining Threads, that's where you are. You won't be at the point yet where you'll be able to make a living. You might be, but it's unlikely that you won't be generating any income at that point. That takes a long time to get to that point. But you will have a site up and you'll be starting to build an email list and you'll be starting to generate traffic. And that's where we want to be in 6 months. You can, yeah, you can inactivate the site. I mean, you can if you want to. I don't think it's a big deal personally, but you can, you know. Could you show us entering a blog post? I absolutely could. That's actually the, let me just check quickly what else I've got on my list that I wanted to take you through. We've done, it's actually next on the list, creating a post. Right. There's a couple more things. Hopefully you're all happy to keep going, right? There's a couple more things I want to take you through. I did say we'd be going for about an hour, and we've been an hour now. I'm gonna rattle through the other things that I wanted to show you because I think they're really worth looking at. Creating a post. Let me show you that quickly. This really is very, very simple. So here I am, say I've just logged in, right? And I'm at the dashboard homepage. And I've got this. Oh, now this is interesting. This is a little aside. As soon as you see an update, you get an alert like this, do it. Don't let your WordPress installation go out of date, okay? So we have the latest version of WordPress and that's all right. This needs updating, this plugin. I'll go into that when we do the actual plugins. So for now, creating a post, you go into posts. So this is the one that SiteGround already put in, you know, automatically for us. So you just go add new. Sorry. And it's now this is the new editor, okay? If you're used to the old one, this will confuse you a little bit, but it's actually, when you get used to it, it's really simple. Okay, what I'll do is, you know, the old, this is something that web designers always use, just a bit of example rubbish to put in there as some content. Oh, wrong site. Let's not be changing the webinar page. That would be bad, right? Okay. And it's pretty much as simple as that. There's a bunch of other things that you can change here. Categories, I tend not to worry about too much. You can just add a new one. As simple as that, add the category, then it will automatically be in that category. I don't think people use them very much on websites. You can if you want to, but I've never had any on mine and I don't really see the point of them. And it's as simple as that. I mean, obviously you would spend a lot longer than that, but then you can preview it if you want to, and it will open it up in a new page without it being live yet. You can see how it would look in your theme, okay? And then if you're happy, just publish it. Nowadays, WordPress asks you twice to make sure that you really want to, and then on your home page, your new post will be there, and you can click through to it. And this is what you would be sharing on social media, your new post, okay? It's so simple adding a new post in WordPress, and it handles everything else for you, slotting it into the homepage and stuff like that. It is a good idea if you can add an image, which is also a fairly simple thing to do. If I was in here, the way I would usually do it is just, actually, how do you do it on this new one? How do you add an image on this new editor? Oh, here we go. A little floating library. Upload. You can go either from one you've already got in your library. So if I went through to my library, it would show me that, just the ones I already have. Or I can upload a new one. For the sake of having something to show you, let's. I'll bring one up from my own site, from my blog. Right, this is all of my posts. And then the editing stuff I would usually do, I would center it, but I would need to figure that out and then just update it, and that will show on the blog post now. There will be a particular size of post. Well, once it's finished updating, it will. Come on, WordPress, do your thing. That's interesting. It seems to have hung. Let's refresh the page. Oh, it's saying it's done it. It may be because I just whacked it into the post and didn't set it. Yeah, it's because I didn't set it up as a featured image. I think you'll be able to figure that out for yourself, but it's really easy to put stuff in there. I imagine for this theme, for each post, there'll be a field where you can add. It's probably this one, featured image, which will show it at the top. If we go back to all posts and have a look at this one. Yeah, it's the featured image. You see how they've got it there? So if I wanted that one to show as an image on the home page, I would have to make sure it's the right size. This will look a bit funny because it won't be quite the right size, but say I'm going to set that as the featured image and then update the post. It's probably going to show twice now. Yeah, one at the top and one in the post, but on the home page it would now be the featured image for the post. Obviously I would want to make it the same size as this one, and then it would look nice and neat. It's very important to make sure that the images are the right size. Okay, so that's how you would add an image and make a new post. The next thing I want to show you is we don't have any pages at the moment at all. We've got a contact us page, which was an option in SiteGround for this. It just installed this for me, and you'll get an email, you know, when someone gets that. But that's all we have. Okay. Now we want an about page. Now a page is a different thing to a post. So for post we use this menu here. Okay. For a page we go here, page, and then add new. Or you can do it just from here. Sorry, wait a second for it to come back. Pages, add new from there. So let's say everybody has an about page, and I will recommend that you do make an about page at some point. And I'll just publish the page. But you won't actually see it on the site anyway yet. It doesn't get automatically put into your home page, but it doesn't automatically appear anywhere. You need to be able to link that in to your menu. And how you do that is you go into Appearance, Menus. Now we already have one here, menu structure, drag each item in that you want. Okay, and it's already said here, it's picked up the pages that we've got, okay? So yeah, I want that one. Add that about to the menu, and then it should be there, and then save the menu. And as if by magic, now we have an about page as well. It's that easy. It's a very good idea to have an about page, but you probably know what I'm going to say to you at this point. Make your about page about them. Make it about your site visitors, not about you. I know you kind of think, but it's about me. It's the about page. It is, but I would rather you looked at it like this. Make it about what you have to offer somebody. As an example, I'm a little loath to use my about page because I'm planning to rewrite it and have been for months, but the title of my the first thing you see when you get to my about page is, this site exists to help you learn to draw and paint better. And that's basically what my site is there for. And that's what my about page is. And then it goes into saying a bit about my background, how I got to the point I am now, or I was when I wrote that about page, and what I might have to help people. So it's about what this site can do for a visitor. It's not about me. You know, this is what I like to paint. Make it about them. Okay, so let me have a quick look. Has anyone got any questions about any of that? Creating a new post, creating a new page, and making a menu. Hopefully that was all pretty clear. It's actually, all of this stuff is really, really simple once you get in there and you get used to it. Yeah, you can put your site in maintenance mode. When you're updating it or doing something like that, your site will automatically go into maintenance mode anyway. So yeah, I mean, you could do that. Personally, if it's a new site, I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about it. You know, the chances of you getting visitors are really slim, and if you do, it's only going to be 1 or 2. You know, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Tracy says, what's a block? A block, that's the new thing in the new WordPress editor. It's a block of content. It just means like the bit that you write in, basically. Can you change the site name and say put a temporary name? Yeah, I don't see any reason why not. Yeah, sure you could. Put a temporary name while you're just setting it up and then your real name when it's ready to go. Yeah, you could. Why not? Yeah, you could. Oh, we're generating lots of comments today. Sorry, it's just going to take me a second to keep up with these. The chat is actually, the software for the chat has slowed down. It's having trouble keeping up with you all. There's a lot of chat here about making your site inactive and stuff. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, do it if you want to. Entering a blog post, we've just covered that. Tracy, you're on your lunch break. I'm sorry if you've had to leave already, but I hope it was useful for you. Can you check? Yeah, we just covered that one. And the photo we just added. Hopefully that's clear. Yeah. Hello, Cash. You've just come. Well, it's nice to see you. I'm glad you made it. Don't worry, there's going to be a replay I'll be sending out probably tomorrow. Okay. Do you size images in Photoshop? Yes, I use Photoshop. It's just the best thing to use for it. It says, just where was the adding the page part? Under appearance. Let me show you again really quickly where that is. Adding the page. I mean, obviously you're going to be able to go back and replay the webinar, but it's pages, add new in there. Was it page you asked about or post? Page, yeah, that's it. Pages, add new. Okay. Familiar with most of this, Cache? Yeah. Yeah, featured images are handy. Submenus I'm not going to go into right now. I can't see why you would need a submenu on your site with the kind of sites that we're going to be building. If you do really need one, have a really good reason why. Don't give your visitors too many options or you will just confuse them and they'll leave. This is something that I've learned over many, many years of web development and online marketing. Keep your site as simple as you possibly can. Make it present something useful to people and don't give them too many options, and your site will work pretty well. Submenus you certainly can do. They're not particularly difficult. You can do them, but frankly, I wouldn't unless you've got a really, really, really good reason for it. And on a blog, which is what I'm recommending that you set up, you probably only need 5 or 6 links. Not any more than that ever, you know. But we'll see. If it becomes a big thing and that people really want it, then obviously I'll go into it later. Rene, you're off already, setting your site up. Look at you go. That's brilliant. Don't worry, no. Don't worry, Shelley. Questions are good. That's what we're here for, all right? These are live streams that I'm going to be doing just for you, just for the members of Threads. So it's fine for you to ask anything. The chances are, if you've got that question, someone else has got it too. So please don't feel that you can't ask me anything. It's absolutely fine. At this point, I've come to the end of my to-do list of everything I wanted to show you about WordPress. Don't worry if you didn't get it all inside your head through this. We covered quite a bit of stuff. There will be a replay and it's going to appear in your Threads homepage. I'll send out a link to that tomorrow once I've got it uploaded, maybe the day after, tomorrow or the day after, hopefully tomorrow. And then what I recommend you do if you're setting this stuff up for the first time is just go through it a bit at a time. You know, look for the bits that you need, like how do you do this bit, how do you do that bit. If there's anything you're particularly stuck with, stick a question in the Facebook group. I'm in there every day. I know I haven't been as active as I would like to be because I've still had quite a lot of stuff to do with having just launched it all. And we're growing. We started off nicely and we're growing quite fast. We've got 53 members now, 54 I think actually, whilst we were doing this. So it's kind of keeping me a bit busy at the moment, which is why I haven't been doing any painting. But stick a question in there and I will see it, and I will try to get back to you as quickly as I can. So your homework for this month is to get your site set up. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be. We can make it better as we go along, as we work through all of the other stuff. Just if you haven't already got it sorted out, get yourself a hosting account, get yourself a WordPress site set up, because the whole of everything that I'm going to show you is going to center around having a good blog to work with. Basically, we're all becoming artist bloggers. That's how you build an audience. That's how you make a success of yourself online, and that's how you can thrive as an artist. I will be teaching stuff about painting, sharing some of the stuff that I learn as I go along about that as well. Most of the stuff that I want to get across to you is what I've learned about being a blogger, okay? Because that's how you generate traffic, and that's how you build relationships with people. So if you can get that sorted out for next month, that would be great, because next month we're going to be plugging in MailChimp, okay? Now, if you can, I would also recommend, once you get the thing set up, if you're wondering what to do next, write your first post. Just make it about what you're doing, what you plan to do with the blog, what you plan to share with people, and try and come up with one really useful thing that you can give someone in that post. Just think about it. Remember, as you're writing it, think about it from a point of view of a visitor, and ask yourself after every line, so what? Imagine someone just came to your site and they said to themselves, so what? Was there something in what you've just written that they can take away that's going to improve their lives in some way? Because that's how you're going to make a difference, okay? That's how you're going to build an audience. So get your site set up. If you've got the time, start writing a new post. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be. The main thing with this stuff is taking action. You can sit around and plan as long as you like. It won't make you any money, it won't get you any visitors, it won't build you an audience. The thing is to take action. The stuff you do will never be perfect. It just has to be, and then you will learn from it and improve the next time you do it, okay? So yeah, next month is going to be MailChimp. By all means, start having a look at that now if you want to. I'm pretty much ready to sign off now, I think. Cash says, don't forget to balance, Paul. I'll have my real name site going soon. Just a matter of getting WP installed. Yeah, that's your homework, Cash. Ready for next month, okay? All right, I hope that was useful for you all. Any questions about any of it? Can I ask you this one thing? It's all right to email me, but it would be really, really useful if you have any questions about it as you go along, stick them in the group. Because like I said, other people will probably have that question there, and if I reply to it and answer it there, or indeed if someone else does, we have people in threads with a background in web development and marketing as well, then everybody else will see the answers too, and that's how we build a really thriving group. So it's better if we do it as a group discussion rather than just a one-to-one, okay? Thanks very much for coming, and I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope it was useful. And to my amazement, Studio Cat has deserted me. He didn't even bother coming back in. Can you believe it? I'm quite disappointed. I'll see you soon. Bye.